Aloha, Scott the Astro Manager here in the next installment of Email Management, Better Emails. Today we're going to talk one last thing before we get into actually processing your email inbox, and that's the workflow you want to use while you're going through it. If you do a web search for getting things done workflow or GTD workflow, you'll see variations of this chart, but this is the chart I want to walk through because this is what you're going to use as you go through your inbox. And what we want to do is go through our inbox and address each email once. You want to read it and then decide what to do with it. And this is the process you'll be using to do. And then in the next installment, we'll actually go through that and actually have you start working through your inbox. So this is, again, the generic workflow for getting things done, but it applies to email because email is one inbox of requests that are coming into you. So the first question you want to ask yourself is this actionable? If it's not, then you can throw it away. You can put it in your someday maybe, like this is something that I might want to do someday maybe, or put it in a reference. This is something that I'm going to need some point, and so I want to reference it. And so in the Getting Things Done system, those are separate folders, but I think this is your email hierarchy, right? You can have a reference folder, you can have a someday maybe folder, you can have trash. If it's not actionable, you file it in a system where you know where you can get out, where you get it later if you need to. Then if it is actionable, then this is something you can do in a short amount of time. Typically, it's somewhere between 2 and 5 minutes. If you can resolve this in 2 to 5 minutes, then just do it, right? Because the amount of time it's going to take you to store it, to retrieve it later, and act on it, you're just going to cut out that overhead and just do it now. So if it's something you can do in less than 2 to 5 minutes, then just do it. If it's not going to be something in 2 to 5 minutes, and there could be a couple reasons. One, this might be a multi-step project, in which case you want to go into your project hierarchy. We'll talk a little bit about how to do that in the task management, or a lot about how to do that in the task management course later on. But if it's something it's not a single task, and it can take more than 2 to 5 minutes because it's a multi-step process. So that goes into your project portfolio. But you might want to ask, what is the next step? And is that something that I need to do now? And is that something that's less than 2 to 5 minutes? If so, do it now. Okay, if it's not something you can do in 2 to 5 minutes, then you need to one of two things. And it's not something you can throw away, so it is actionable, or you can file. Then you can delegate it, in which case you have a new task, which is to follow up. So you delegate it, and you add something in your task system which says follow up on this. Now you can do this in email by having a sort of a delegate folder. You CC yourself. Anything CC'd yourself goes into a folder automatically. You can set a filter, then to put that into a waiting for folder. So now you can see what it is that you're waiting for, and you can periodically check that. It could be your daily or weekly routine. You can put it in your to-do list if you have that, or task management on follow up on X. However you do that, right? And we talk about that in the task management class. But if you want to do an email system only, then you can set up the sort of waiting for folder and either stick the email in yourself or have this rule to put CCs in there. Or of course you can defer it. That's not something you can delegate. It's not something you can do in 2 to 5 minutes. You're going to need to spend some more time on it, in which case you defer it. And for that, depending on what your process is, the Getting Things Done approach is you put that in your next action in the task list. What's the next action I have to do on this request? You put that in your task list. And then you have a process which goes through your task list and figures out what you're going to do. A calendar, actually scheduling time to work something rather than putting on a task list, is a more effective way. It depends on how much you have to do and what your conflicting priorities are and how many interrupts you get. And then what do you do with this email? Well, in the task or calendar, you can refer to that email and just file it away, or you can put that in your deferred folder if you want to do that. And then you know that when you get to your calendar or your task list, all the relevant emails are in your deferred folder. You find that email when you're done with your task, you finished it, then you can then file that into your reference system or delete it, whatever you want to do. So that's the process we're going to be following. You want to go through this with each email and follow this course. Is it actionable? If not, throw it away or file it. Is it something you can do in a few minutes? If no, and it's a project, and it goes into your project hierarchy, but look at the next step. If that next step is something you can do in 2 minutes, just do it. If it's not, delegate it and add a task to follow up, or defer it by putting it into your calendar or task management system. That's it. That's a whole range of processes. Now, even with this, it's fairly simple, right? There's 2 questions and then 3 options and what you do with it. There will be emails that you get, you're like, I don't know what to do with this, or I don't want to do with this. and you're going to be really tempted to skip over it and get back to it later. Ask yourself, what is the ultimate fate of this email? What am I eventually going to do with these emails? Just ask yourself that. And usually you'll give yourself an answer. I'm not going to do anything with this. I would really like to, but I'm not going to. Or, I hope I have time to deal with this, but I don't. Or maybe I will later. So that's your trash, your reference system, your someday maybe. Or it's going to be, I really have to do this. It's going to go on your calendar. Or this has to get done, but I'm not the person to do it. Someone else needs to. Go on your delegation. So asking yourself that question, what is the ultimate fate of this email, is going to help. So that's the process, and then the sort of trick, the tip you're going to use when you get stuck. And in the next session, we'll start actually going through your emails, and you can start filing these things away and clearing out that inbox. Thanks for watching. I hope this was useful, and I hope you see me next time. Bye-bye.